And after decades of neglect, Nigeria's mining and mineral sector is showing signs of recovery as the authorities seek to diversify the economy away from the dependence on oil. As Rachid Bensaran, World Bank's country director for Nigeria, remarked in 2017, Nigeria has a favorable geological potential that, if adequately addressed, well exploited and sustainably managed, could support broader economic growth through the mineral sector. Nigerian authorities have been focusing their attention on underexploited industries as part of a drive to diversify the economy away from oil, and mining is one of them. The nation's reserves of tin, gold, coal, iron ore, lead and barite represent potentially vast revenue sources, but the industry has been held back by insufficient geodata, weak infrastructure, limited enforcement of regulations, which has discouraged investors and left critical mining projects on ice. The mining sector contributed only about 0.15% to GDP. In 2015, a far cry from the 4 to 5% it contributes it contributed, I beg your pardon, in the 60s and 70s. After Nigeria slumped into recession in 2016, amidst a nosedive in global oil prices, attempts to promote diversification became more pronounced. Key to this effort was the revision and approval of a roadmap to advance the development of deposits of more than 4 dozen types of different minerals. The roadmap for growth and development of the Nigerian mining industry has a major goal: to grow the mining industry's contribution to GDP to over 10% by 2026. I have the chairman, mining group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Engineer Babatunde Latishe. He's live in the studio. Thank you very much for your time, Engineer Latishe.
Thank you very much for having us.
It's great to really have you on the show.
Likewise.
It's been a while. Now, let's start with the potentials in this sector. I think that's where I'm going to start from. Yeah. It's looking very, very interesting now. We're looking at diversifying our economy, focus on non-oil, and we see a lot of efforts being made by this government to actually make that sector more conducive for investors to come in and for players like you to run into it. So take us through the potentials that we really have hidden in this sector that we are here to take advantage of.
All right, good, great. Thank you again for having us. In a nutshell, Nigeria has about 45 minerals of exportable commercial quantity. What we need in this country is to open it up. Let investors have a playing field. And what those investors need, like you earlier mentioned, is data. They don't have enough data to put forward a bankable feasibility study. And that's what Nigeria needs to do right now. And they're currently in the process of doing that.
So you will really say that, because I had a chat with the Minister of Mines and Steels, and he gave a lot of beautiful figures, expectations, and all of that. So would you really agree that this administration is really, really determined or has the political will to make this become a reality? It could be fine in paper, but let's talk about Naira and Kobo now.
Yeah, first of all, the Honorable Minister, this is the first time that a technocrat is at the helms of their affairs. It's also the first time you see special advisors that are actually miners in the ministry. So it can't be a better time. And if these guys don't get it right, I don't know who will get it right. So that's number one. Number two, they've given us a lot of investor confidence. There are some initiatives that they're bringing out, like the PAGMI, the Presidential Artisanal Gold Mining Initiative. It is a very exciting time in the mining ecosystem in Nigeria. We have a situation where the federal government, via the CBN, will buy gold from artisanal miners. So what will this happen? This would eventually have a domino effect, because before you had foreigners, you had politicians, you had bandits or whoever buying this gold at whatever price, a fraction of the price. So now you have a situation that there's proper value for the work being done. Aside from that, Nigeria will save immense amounts of extremely important foreign reserves. Our dollar will now be conserved because the gold will be bought in Naira, and then the equivalent will be saved in dollar. Yeah. So it's exciting times.
Really exciting times. But we always hear of illegal minings, illegal miners, and all of that. These stories keep coming up in the news. We are on the news and we see this every day. Now, how do we check the excesses? And some are saying we could also encourage locals to really get into it. Do the locals have the capacity to run this business?
Okay, first of all, the locals do not have the capacity. And when they go about this illegal mining, they destroy the environment.
True.
They use arcade ways of doing things, which is the mercury route. We all know how poisonous mercury is to children, women, everybody. So if government gets their act together, or they have actually, because with this initiative, I haven't seen everything in black and white. We're very great at creating documents, but implementing it would be the challenge. And one of these challenges I foresee, aside the very obvious, which is funding, we can talk about funding forever. We all know the challenges regarding funding in Nigeria and mining. But the second most important one is technology transfer. Now, how are you going to get these artisanal miners doing it the right way? That is the most important thing we need to ask ourselves now. So, what are the alternatives to mercury? Those are the questions we need to ask ourselves. A simple Gemini table can replace your mercury. But how many of these artisanal miners know that? How many individuals know that? So lack of information is another crucial part. Ministry needs to create an arm that, of a department that will drum this information down into everybody. The average Nigerian understands fuel subsidy. So why can't the average Nigerian understand what's going on in the mining sector?
Should be that open, right?
Yes. We need to understand. Yeah.
Well, it sounds interesting. Now, we've looked at this presidential artisanal gold mining development initiative. I saw the central bank governor, like you said, we saw the gold being presented, everybody happy, talking about Forex and all of the positives.
Yes.
But we're also expecting about 250,000 jobs to be generated from this, if not even more, and more than $500 million annual royalties. Well, even if we put the figures aside, how achievable is all of this? How do you see this creating a more enabling environment for job creation and revenue generation?
Great. Now, it's designed as a quick win to diversify the economy and the country at large. And it's all about poverty alleviation. Now, if in a situation where these areas that are impoverished, which are Kebbi states, Osun states, which are the pilot programs, 10,000 youths have been registered in both states on an average. That's a lot of people. Now, those are indirectly 10,000 households, all right, in these two individual states. There are other states that obviously have gold, mainly in the northwest and the southwest of Nigeria. Now, this will have a multiplier effect eventually. Now, because as they've registered these 10,000 youths in both states, they can be trained, they can be empowered. There's so many things that can happen. So aside from going into, and there's the security side of things, because once these youths have a stable source of income, banditry, criminality will definitely be addressed. So it is a good time as long as they can implement these things properly.
Implementation has always been something that also worries me. I remember when the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan was out, everybody was talking about it. Beautiful document, beautiful projections.
Yes.
But implementation remains one thing that pricks me, and I keep thinking about how we could do that. Now, I don't know. Do we refineries, gold refineries?
Yes.
That's also something that I think is very important. How would government support this? Do we need to partner? Because in some of these investments are capital intensive. I totally agree with that, because we don't even have petroleum refineries in the country.
Yes.
Not to talk of now having gold refineries.
Yes.
So where do you see government also coming in, maybe one way or the other? Or do we need to also opt for the PPP, public-private partnership scheme? Because we just need to we need to harness these potentials.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Now, the gold that was presented to the president, the 12.5 kg gold, was actually refined outside of Nigeria.
Wow.
We need to correct, some people don't really know that. Now, it was flown out and flown back in because, yes, we do not have refineries in
I hope we're
Nigeria.
not back to moving crude oil and bringing in finished products.
Well, the good news is the Ministry of Mines and Steel has given approval for 2 refineries.
Beautiful.
One in Ogun State, one in Abuja. And they're both privately owned. Nothing to do with government, because government has no business doing
doing business.
Doing business.
True.
So yes, the refineries are being built in EPC stage, they're being constructed and all that good stuff. But that gold bar you saw, yes, it had to be, the aggregates were flown out and then flown back in as a gold bar with the normal the international standards. Yes.
So does it mean that if we continue at this pace, a lot of projections with dates and all of that, are we saying that very soon it would get better when it comes to revenue coming from gold? And I think even globally, the price of gold seems to be looking very good.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for bringing that up as well. Gold is now over $2,000. It was $1,700 a few months ago.
Yeah, for an ounce, per ounce, right?
Yes, and it has been predicted to probably see the $3,000 mark.
Wow.
Sometime towards the middle of next year. So these are very exciting times. Yes, they are. Now, regarding, sorry, the other question was?
Yes, I was talking about the reserves. We were talking about refineries.
Yes.
Then when we left refineries, we were talking about, what was the next question? I think we talked about what government can do to support players in that sector.
Yeah, so government, right policy.
Okay.
Right policy is the most important thing. Infrastructure.
That's very key.
You can't, infrastructure is extremely important. Opening up so many other avenues like security. Then there's the value addition. Because there's so many aspects of gold refining. More importantly, and one that we should hammer on, we need electro welding. Electro welding really is the only way you can make the ore bins, the ball mills, the heavy equipment. So we need a way that we can train our local welders. Now, like we said, this is all employment. It's huge employment. Yeah, because you have so much equipment. And funny enough, we've got the iron ore to create all the equipment you need. So the moment Ajaokuta Steel Complex comes live, we have the steel to make these equipments. Government will have to find a way to train welders and let them become electro welders, and they will be the ones that will be the bridge in between the artisanal miners and the equipment. Because I trust my boys, the boys in Inewi and our local fabricators. All they need to do is give them a sample of what they need to do, and they'll recreate it. So if we can find a way to bridge that gap, we will go a very long way.
But with all of this, we see government supporting agriculture, we see government supporting cotton production, that's the textile industry. How well have you and your members, gotten support from the Apex Bank and maybe also from the Bank of Industry and all that? Because at this time, I think it's very important for them to support this project.
To be honest, no, there's no support. Yes, there have been intervention funds, but access to it,
access is always a problem.
Access is always a problem. And you cannot blame Bank of Industry because they're in a business and they must stay in a business. So when you have miners that don't have collateral, they don't have all the necessary requirements, what do? So from my understanding, the SMDF, which is the Southern Mineral Development Fund, which has not really impacted miners due to lack of zero access to it, I think government might have to recreate that fund and probably turn it into some form of authority or corporation. Like, we have Ministry of Petroleum Resources and our NNPC.
Yeah.
So why can't we have a Ministry of Mines and Steel, like we already have, and a corporation like a Nigerian Mining Development Corporation?
That will actually see to
the business side of the mining. You got it.
What about regulatory? Will it have
regulatory is still being done by the Ministry of Mines and Steel.
Okay.
But we need the government needs a muscle, a business muscle, so to speak. I'll give an example. Okay. The states, for instance, if you're a state and you want to go into mining, you're a government and you should not be in the business of doing business. So what they do is that they set up joint ventures with technical partners, and then they go to the mines cadastral and apply for these licenses, and they get it. So government, that's the federal government, can create a corporation, an authority, a corporation like the NNPC bought for mining that will be generating revenue that they solidly need at the moment.
Can we say that this the time where illegal miners are I'm going to go back to illegal miners again. We're taking advantage of our resources. Would we say that has been minimized to a level at the moment? Because we see a lot of time on the news where, you know, they are picked up. You see foreigners, locals, and, you know, being talked about illegal mining. Some of them will say they don't even have the documentations to go about what they do. Now, with the move of this present administration, would you say all of this are being checked at least to a commendable level?
Well, if they can register 10,000 youths, I think that is a step in the right direction. I mean, it's not easy to go into a jungle and find these boys that are in the ground.
True.
It is very difficult. So to biometrically register them, that's a big feat. You know, so let's see what they do with these numbers. Now, when about 2-3 months ago, I think about more than a dozen Chinese were found in Osun State illegally mining.
Yeah.
Now, I predicted that you will see more of this. You will see more of this because as long as we have this COVID-19 and people are looking for alternatives to revenue and wealth, you will see more people going into the jungle and trying to find this gold. Now, aside from that, government is trying to open up the industry by providing more data. And how are they doing this? Okay. There's a project called NIMEP, Nigerian Integrated Mineral Exploration Project. Now, what this is supposed to do is they've hired about 8 international companies that are doing this exploration work. And once the data is out on a specific area, the Mines Cadastral Office will now auction it to the general public, like the way it's being done in oil and gas. So the reason why oil and gas is so prolific is because they know the reserve estimate in the ground. We do not know the reserve estimate for gold. It's just speculative. We don't know the reserve estimate for so many of our other minerals. They're all speculative. So once this exploration project is done, you will have more data. And foreign investors will take us seriously. Oh, these guys we need to be here because Nigeria is untapped. Ghana, for instance, you have to go 2 kilometers into the ground to get your gold. We're still doing alluvial gold in Nigeria, which is gold found on the surface, in the soil.
Nigeria is indeed blessed. Chairman, Mining Group, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I know, I can see that passion there. I know you can go on and on.
Thank you.
But that's what time can take today. Thank you for really breaking this down.
Thanks for having us.
Letting us understand what it takes. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us in Business Nigeria.
Thank you for having us. Always a pleasure.